Let me welcome you to another interview from the Czech Road Conference 2025. This time our guest is Steve Phillips, Secretary General of Conference of European Directors of Roads based in Brussels, with the aim of connecting national road directors and also other stakeholders. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much, Michaela.
What is really the core of your activities?
The core of my activities, I guess, is the core of what we're at this event doing. It's about connecting different people in the road sector. In my case, it's particularly connecting the different road authorities. So RSD from Czechia is the member, and it's bringing together all the different road authorities to exchange experiences and then develop common positions towards stakeholders.
Well, we should talk about the main topics that you are discussing lately the most. What are those?
How long do we have? Okay.
Not too much.
You can understand. There's lots and lots of different challenges in the road sector, which is what makes it's quite exciting. Everything from financing, which we talked about a lot. There's also all this construction techniques and how they're changing. We've talked a lot about how to improve the sustainability, the recycling of the different construction methods in roads. Across Europe, we also have the aging infrastructure challenge. You know, so much of Europe's infrastructure was developed built in the 60s and 70s. Now it's reaching the end of its life. And it's reaching the end of its life just when traffic is still growing. So we can't close it and, leave it going for 12 months or 2 years or whatever and replace it. So we have to find new ways of dealing with the traffic, replacing the aging infrastructure, preparing for climate change.
And I guess also for the new technologies that will change the transport we are used to autonomous one.
Absolutely. I think that the technologies is and the whole area of digitalization, which of course is not just everyone focuses on the automated vehicles or the electrification of the vehicles. That's, of course, a huge part of it, and all the challenges of how we change the management of road. But also it goes into how we actually construct the road. So you can imagine the opportunities of digitalization in terms of virtual reality or new types of, imagining how the infrastructure will be before you even get out on the road. One challenging thing, I think, is if you look at how we face a skills crisis in Europe, but we're also looking at, as I say, how could you augment the workers on the road? So when a worker goes on the road, he has his head-up visor and he sees all of the plans, he sees all of the problems, he knows exactly where to drill or whatever, all of those kind of things. And then right through, think about digitalization, how we interact with the public. All of this data is becoming far, far more open. And in an era of AI, and this is one of the things we have to think, in an era of AI, suddenly everyone with their favorite whatever it is, AI, will think they're a road manager because they have access to all of the data and they can ask the questions. Why was that bridge there? How was that? So this kind of interaction and explaining with the public and wider society, that's going to be a big challenge as well. So technology is a wide issue.
Is there any European country that is really doing well in this regard where we could learn from?
I don't know. I would say none and everyone.
Okay.
And I think this is one of the exciting things of my job. Is you go to a country which you think is very advanced, and they're still learning things from countries which you say, well, they're still developing. And that's what bringing the different road authorities together across Europe is. Even the teachers are learning something because everyone can learn something in this field.
In a way, it all comes to sustainability, economic, financial, environmental.
Yep.
Let's look more in detail on the financial one. There are different problems in the, I would say, new countries, as Czech Republic, Slovakia, and so on, where we still need to build the basic infrastructure. And in those that have the aging one, trying to rebuild it to the modern times. Mm-hmm. Is there any model that we could copy or that we could take as the best one to finance it? Where to find the money?
That's a $64 million question. There are good examples out there. I hesitate to say there are some examples, for example, of the construction of the high-speed roads. And that's one of the challenges, actually, I would say, in a conference like this, is the finance streams for the large infrastructures are much easier than the finance streams for maintaining country roads and city roads. So the question there is, how do we develop a new financing scheme that works for all of the roads? Now, traditionally, across most of Europe, across most of the world, we would do that by the tax on the fuel. And that was the way it worked. The tax that was paid on the fuel would go for all roads, whichever route it took through government. Now that's kind of running out. With electrification, there's a big question. How much money are we going to get in that route? So we have a challenge. That's where the technology comes in, and there's a lot of discussion now about how your car actually will have almost like a meter based into it, and your car is directly charging you for the road usage, and that's why we talk about road user charging, or there's other mechanisms being developed.
But you're even more in the future than the ETS2, where we should be paying for the pollution. Much more.
Absolutely. I mean, this is an example, because you say, who are the leaders at the moment, and one of the interesting leaders at the moment right now in Europe probably is Iceland. Because Iceland are implementing this system where all the vehicles now are paying for the kilometres they drive. So, we are seeing those developments. I think Norway will be close behind. Switzerland and Liechtenstein are looking. So there are these developments. There are others that are still looking at how they deal with their legacy financing schemes. Some of your neighbours actually have a very good way of paying for their motorway network, but now they're working. Okay, how do we pay for the whole network? So that's one of the challenges. Is it's not just paying for an isolated bridge. Just to a certain extent, that is easier. It's paying for a whole network. And I would even stress, actually, it's also paying for the background activities as well. Because the bridge you see and everything else, you're not seeing the traffic management centres and all the other things in the background. So how do we develop the new systems which pay for all of that?
So will there be new regulations, new standards, new norm in using the infrastructure so that we are able to build it and keep it safe and up to date?
I think there'll be thousands of different norms, and that's one of the challenges. Is the more we normalise, the more we develop new standards, the more the new standards actually are, increasing the complexity. So that's one thing. But going back to the finance question, maybe that's also something we need to look at. How much of that will we actually see through the European Commission? You mentioned ETS, which ETS. European tolling system was basically to develop the interoperability for road freight, fundamentally. So that's all about the European single market. And there we can be happy, roads have developed a European single market. But that is not the same as paying for an integrated national road system. So that's the question, because that is a question that often the finance ministries are looking at, and they don't want the European Commission standardising that, because it's not the European Commission's role. Taxes and things are very much a national thing. So if you like, everything we do in roads and road infrastructure is always this balance between how much can be done at a European level and how much do we need to look to the national ministries, which is where at the CEDR level, our key focus, our key stakeholder is always the ministry. It's not the European Commission, because we know the ministries are the bosses of the road authorities.
Well, would you then advise something to the Czech experts or policymakers, how to now debate in Europe our needs and our priorities?
First, the obvious one is get more engaged in CEDR. That's the easy one. No, but there are lots of different forums, and I think that's the point. I mentioned this morning, the whole point of this Congress, and how do we better link the different congresses together? How do we have, basically every national congress is connected with a wider European event. We are working actually on a big event in Budapest next year, the Transport Research Arena, with our Hungarian colleagues, or your Hungarian colleagues, Kazut, very much to take forward a lot of these discussions. And what we want to do is take the discussions that happen in Brno, take them to Budapest, and bring them to a bigger audience and engage with them in that way. I don't think we can get away from talking with each other. I don't believe, as I say, AI will replace these conferences. Some people think it will. Some people still think, you don't need to travel anymore. You can do everything online. You can attend a Teams or a Zoom meeting and learn. No, it's about these interactions, and you pick up things and debate things and understand people.
So again, the main advice would be don't hesitate to communicate and cooperate, because then you have the power to change things.
Absolutely. Get involved, get engaged.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for your insight.
Thank you very much. Thank you.